Hey everybody, welcome back for another memory keeping video. This is for the week of March 30th through April 5th, which was Easter week this year. So I used a printable Easter kit from Lynner Designs. I believe this was called Bunny Party, and it's a cute Easter kit. I used mostly the Easter related boxes to this, but it could also be a fun, like just Peter Rabbit themed week for other things. Like, I don't know, I envision like baby shower or like young child's birthday or something, or just a fun spring kit. So this reminded me a lot of my childhood, so I wanted to pick this one up. I definitely would have used Kittenish Jess's, like, not like specifically Easter art that she came out with this year. It's like kind of like spring folk art. Absolutely would have used that if it had come out earlier, but I can also just save that for a general spring week as well. I really like that one. As someone with Ukrainian and Croatian heritage, it very much reminds me of kind of like Eastern European spring and summertime for some reason. So who knows? Maybe, well, I won't be going to Ukraine anytime soon, sadly, but I'm looking into going to Croatia soon. So I might use it for that because there's definitely not a Croatia travel set, even though I would argue there should be. But moving on, this art was by Nella of Clip Art Kits, and like I said, it's a printable kit from Lynner Designs, so I print and cut this myself, so if there's anything askew with the printing or the cutting, that is not on Lynn, that is on me. And I decided to color block this, and I just thought this art was so darling. I loved the tulips in it and all the Easter eggs, and I loved that there was like blue and orange. I love those contrasting colors, and they're kind of alternative for Easter. I feel like Easter is often portrayed as like pink, light green, purple. So I liked kind of a different Easter setup. I'm once again asking for a basketball kit though, which I could have also used this week because I went to another basketball game. Obviously this was towards the end of the NBA season, so there were only a few games left, and I forget if I talked about this before, but my dad gets season tickets and then like goes to as many games as he really wants, and then either like sells the remaining tickets to like on the market or gifts them to us, so like his various kids and friends and things like that. I actually went to a game with my dad this week because he still had some games available, and it was exciting this time because it was like the first game I've been to in a long time, like years and years and years, where we won. And in Sacramento a couple of years ago, literally a couple of years ago, they decided to come up with this idea of light the beam. And basically what it is that if we win, they project like a big purple laser out the top of the Golden One Center, which is our arena downtown. That arena opened up probably like 10 years ago at this point, but only a couple of years ago did they decide to do this light the beam thing, which is just so funny because like they've got it like trending on social media at this point, and like it's like quote unquote a thing now. But like growing up in Sacramento, back when we were at Arco Arena north of the city, and even when the Golden One Center first was built and was opened, this wasn't a thing. This literally just became a thing like a couple of years ago, but now we're all acting like it's like always been a thing, which is just really funny to me. So yeah, I haven't been to that many games at the Golden One Center. I used to go to games a lot around like 2010, 2011, when we were back at Arco Arena, because I was working for my local Parks and Rec and we got like heavily discounted tickets. Our team was very bad back then, so like I very rarely saw anybody win, but I did go to a lot of games for pretty cheap back then. And then I don't know if we're any good now, but we did win against the New Orleans Pelicans this night. And then the next week, my dad and my brother went to the Kings-Warriors game, and they beat the Warriors, which was pretty exciting. So anyway, yeah, I saw them light the beam for the first time because, like I said, that's only been a thing for the last couple of years. And so far, since I've been back in Sacramento and regularly going to games, and by regularly, I mean like one game a season, they always lose. And they lost earlier this year when we went to a game, so it was funny to see they basically like roll out this thing that like imitates it. They act like they're projecting it through the ceiling of the arena into the sky. Obviously they're not, but like it's really funny to see all the young NBA athletes get all excited and dance around it, and it was just funny. So yeah, that was Friday. I'll get into the day by day in a little bit. My husband and I did have Tuesday off for what we are now calling Farmer Workers Day because this has been a state holiday. March 31st has been a state holiday for a bit, and we both work in the public sector, so like we've had this day off typically every year for the last few years. But the person it was originally named for turns out to not be a great person, which I don't know why. This is like what happened with J.K. Rowling as well a few years back. Like, I feel like we were talking about this for years prior, and then like this year something changed. It's like we kind of knew, but like this year just kind of like confirmed it. So it's kind of odd to me that we only took action like this year. So anyway, it's still important to recognize the farm workers movement and the current farm workers in California. Obviously, like that is a major part of our economy. We would not be a functioning society without them. So obviously I still support recognizing them. So I'm glad that like people are taking action to rename it just for the general movement and not for any one specific person. The cruel irony, of course, though, is that people like my husband and I who have white collar, like basically government jobs, get the day off when it's not about us at all. And if we're being realistic, a lot of farm workers do not get March 31st off. Sometimes they don't even get like regular days off. So that's something we need to advocate more for. It's kind of how I feel about like Juneteenth as well. Like we get that day off as well. And I would like to get more in the habit of like volunteering on these types of days that are not actually about me, but I get the day off anyway. During the summer, I don't technically, it's not a paid holiday for me. Actually, in my current job, I don't even get paid holidays, but that's a whole other rant to go on. Anyway, so yeah, Tuesday was Farm Workers Day. We ended up going on a hike to burn off some steam. And then, oh yeah, this week was the week that the Artemis 2 was launched. And I did not watch the launch live. I watched a video after the fact because I am just old enough to remember the Columbia disaster. Granted, that was a re-entry problem. I remember waking up on like a Saturday and it had already happened and they just kept like replaying the footage. And I don't know, lately I've been reflecting on being a millennial, and obviously like every generation has their stuff that didn't go right. But I feel like being like a tween / young teen from 2000 to like 2005, it was just one horrible disaster after another. And that's like a very formative period of your life. And then I sit around and wonder, why am I so like stressed and anxious all the time? And it's like, well, during a very pivotal part of my development, it kind of felt like the world was ending. So, which is not unique to me, but like, I don't know. I think there's something about being like 9 to 13 and then like every year something awful happens that changes you as a person. I don't know. Anyway, so like I couldn't watch the launch live just because I also like, I wasn't alive for Challenger for that disaster, but like I grew up like hearing about it a lot. And then obviously when Columbia happened in like, was that 2004 or 2005? One of those years. When Columbia happened, they kept like hearkening back to what happened with Challenger like 20 years earlier. So yeah, I was very happy that they got out of the air safely and everything. And yeah, then we'll talk more next week about them coming back because that was also very exciting. But yeah, I watched footage after the fact and not live because my anxiety was like, I don't know if I can watch this live because if something happens, I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, so that was April 1st. My husband made corned beef this week for Easter. So he got a nice slab of brisket and is it technically corning it? Is that why it's called corned beef? I don't know, but yeah, we did that. He originally wanted to do that for St. Patrick's Day. But we just did not have time, St. Patrick's week. So we did it for Easter instead. And then, like I said, Friday, I went to the basketball game with my dad. Saturday, we're just kind of prepping for Easter. And then Sunday was just like a chill day at home. Not anything crazy for Easter. I love Easter as a holiday because I feel like you have a lot more flexibility in how you celebrate it. Like if you want to do something extravagant for it, you can. Or if you're like me, you're like, I kind of just want to chill today. You can do that. I don't have children though, so of course I get to chill on Easter. But yeah. Anyway, in my sidebar, I have 2 habit trackers. So I have one for flossing and then one for no Instagram. I broke my Instagram fast on Saturday evening, I think. So I gave it up for Lent. Now that Lent's over, I'm back. Did you miss me? Probably not. And then the weekly checklist is for my dinners for this week. So first thing Monday, I marked that it was 5 months till a concert countdown. So I'm going to pull in an emo corgi from Corks and Corgs Co. Very sadly, we got news this morning that our friend's other dog had passed away. So 2 Plan With Me's ago, I talked about this same friend. One of their dogs passed away very suddenly, and then the other one, who had been sick for quite a while, for several years, but he had been in treatment and it was going well. He passed away this week, unfortunately, which was very sad. They were about the same age. I think I talked about it in the previous Plan With Me. My friend, she met her now husband like 5 years ago, and one of the things they had in common, besides the fact that they're both therapists, is that they each had a black lab around the same age. So it's very sad that they had to go through that with both dogs at the same time. The thought popped up into my head, and our friend mentioned this as well, of like where the red fern grows, if you're familiar with that story. Like, it was very like bonded dogs. They didn't even know each other like their whole lives, but like they were just very close apparently. So our thoughts are definitely with them. I had therapy, and then I did yoga. So I have some Wonton and a Million stickers for that. I filmed my monthly Plan With Me for April, so I have a camera from Corks and Corgs Co. And then this week I was reading Beach Read, which I eventually finished this weekend. So that's from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. And then I rounded out the day by watching 10-Minute Power Hour on YouTube. So I have a really old sticker from Oh Hello Co. Tuesday, like I said, was a day off, and then it was kind of raining off and on this day, but honestly, I've been enjoying hiking on like slightly drizzly days. Like, we haven't gotten like heavy rain during the day, so it's worked out pretty easily. But I like hiking on a cloudy day over like a sunny day, because I would rather be cold while hiking than too warm, which is usually the problem in California. So I have this cute Sweet Ava's paper sticker for the rain. And then we went and hiked, so I have a little Once More with Love munchkin to mark that. And then we also picked up our ceramics from Brewbird, which was the ceramics painting studio that we went to a couple weeks prior. I just used a piece of deco from the kit because I painted a bowl, and I don't have bowl stickers. So yeah, like I mentioned 2 Plan With Me's ago, I painted this bowl with like wildflowers all over it. It was my best attempt at representing those wildflowers. It turned out pretty cute, I think. Could it be better? Absolutely, but I am not a very proficient artist, so you just gotta try some things. So my husband's Godzilla mug turned out amazing. He made a Godzilla and Mothra mug, and I don't know how that guy draws things so well, and then like in this case he was painting it, so I'm like, what the heck, man? But it turned out really cute. Came home and did some laundry, played some Sims on my iPad, and then I was continuing to watch a lot of videos on Taylor Tomlinson's YouTube channel of Crowd Confessions, which was a segment of her last comedy tour. Wednesday was April Fool's Day, so I thought it would be funny to pull in this corgi from Corks and Corgs Co. where he's kind of showing his butt. I think it's called Sassy Link in Laurel's shop. And then I have an April Fool's Day script from Magical Sticker Co. from like her holiday sheet. I did get April Fool's this day. So normally I don't take anything on the internet seriously. So like, do not like pay attention in April, like when you're posting things, because I'm just like, I trust nothing on this day. But I let my guard down. I was on Reddit, and for some reason the UC Davis subreddit is popping up in my feed a lot lately. I live close to UC Davis, so that makes sense. But there's this cat on campus. There's several cats on campus, but there's this big orange guy named Cheeto who lives on campus, and I think he's been adopted by either like in the physics department, basically. So the physics students are like obsessed with him, have him on a regular feeding schedule. He ended up in the news because they had to put up signs a couple years ago telling people, please don't feed him. He has someone who regularly feeds him. He's getting too fat. And then they studied and charted, these science nerds at UC Davis, they charted like the rates of like squirrel diabetes or something, or squirrel cholesterol. I can't remember. But like, apparently the extra food was making the squirrels too fat too. And then Cheeto, the cat, was eating those squirrels, I think. You can look this up. Anyway, so someone claimed on Reddit this day that Cheeto was a father and that they had found these other stray feral kittens on campus and had like paternity tested them. And it was this whole long thing about like how they collected the data and like how they ran it through whatever systems, whatever machines they had to. And then like towards the end of the post, they were like, this is interesting because Cheeto is neutered. And that should have been, I was reading this out loud to my husband. That should have been my clue. My husband was like, what? Wait a second. And then the very end was like, April Fool's, he's not the father. And I'm like, wow, they got me. They got me real good. So that was the April Fool's prank that actually worked on me. That type of one is funny. The least funny type of April Fool's prank is the one that was trendy, I swear, like 10 years ago. Although people have done it since then too, where they like pretend that they're pregnant. That's messed up. Don't do that. For so many reasons. Because first of all, you're tempting fate. And second of all, you're hurting people who like actually want to be pregnant. Like, knock that off. But making up genetic testing of a stray cat on campus and paternity testing, that was funny. That got me. So anyway, that was April Fool's Day. I ran the budget. It rained again. I did more yoga. I voiced over a plan with me. I was making some bracelets for Hayley Williams' concert. And then, like I said, the Artemis 2 launched this day. So I thought it would be cute to use this little like moon gazing sticker from Sweet Ava's paper. And then I restarted watching Great British Bake Off from the very first season. If you want the old seasons of Great British Bake Off and you're in the United States, you can watch the first like 7 seasons on Roku, which is where I get them. And they're totally free with ads, of course. But like, I'm okay with that. And then I made myself some hot cocoa. Thursday, I used this crock pot icon from Lynner Designs to mark that I was on kind of crock pot watch duty. It was fine. We just don't actually feel comfortable with leaving a crock pot on when nobody's home. So like my husband set it up before he went to work this day, and then I just kind of like monitored it to make sure it didn't like overflow or anything. So I wanted to mark that. I lesson planned and graded. Oh, I forgot. This was spring break at the college. I was like, why was I not at work this day? This was spring break at the other college where I teach, so I didn't have to go to work on Tuesday or Thursday. But Tuesday was also a state holiday anyway, so even if we had class, I wouldn't have had to go. I filmed a haul. I filmed a lineup. I played more Sims, and then I've been really into Stephen Colbert's Late Show the last couple of months. It's sad that it's ending. And I've watched it before, but like lately I've just been watching it a lot more. Friday, I marked my husband working from home. I marked teaching my Friday class because that district was not on spring break because we had our spring break a few weeks prior. I graded papers, I had a Zoom meeting, and then I played more Sims. And then, like I said, I went to the Kings game to basketball with my dad. So the first basketball sticker is from Quarks and Corks Co. and the second basketball sticker from marking Light the Beam, because I didn't have a beam sticker. I didn't have a laser sticker, obviously. That second one is from Itty Bitty Sticker Co. I just wanted to use like both of my basketball stickers since the season is over and I'm not going to get to use these for another like 6 months at least. Saturday, I journaled because part of getting back on Instagram was like being confronted with like everyone's like announcements and like all this stuff that kind of like makes me feel not great about myself. So that was part of the purpose behind taking a break from Instagram for Lent, is like social media definitely like impacts me, which is not groundbreaking news. Like when people try to argue that, it's like, yeah, we know. Are we all going to quit it? Some people do. I personally also get something out of it, so I'm not going to quit it, but I do have to take breaks. So anyway, I was journaling about that. Played with Clover for an hour on Saturday morning because she was super active and I wanted to honor that. I'm like, I got to play with my cat. We ended up going to the local bakery and I got a slice of like a vegetarian pizza that they made, and then I just wasn't feeling great. My husband ended up getting my Easter basket chocolates this day, so that was fun. And then we went out for sushi for dinner, so that sushi roll is from Bunny Bear Plans. Then I watched more Great British Bake Off and played more Sims. Sunday was Easter, so I marked that with a Sweet Ava's Paper Easter sticker and a script from Magical Sticker Co., again from her holiday sheet. And then that coffee icon is from a planner face kit, but I think she sells full sheets of these too. It's a really cute icon. I would order more often from Planner Face if she wasn't in the UK. And then she's like arranging these really cute events lately too. And I'm like, wow, I wish I was there. I suppose I could arrange that, but be quite a journey. But yeah, I had coffee in bed, we made waffles, and then this was the day that I finished reading Beach Read by Emily Henry. I reviewed it on my Instagram very briefly because I've been trying to keep track of the books I read this year over there. I didn't dislike it. I think it was just like romance is not typically my genre, and I felt like there were other interesting things going on in that book, and they weren't incorporated into the plot very much. It was very much just focused on like, will they or won't they? And I'm like, we know they're going to, and stop like messing around. Just like get on with it. What are we doing? But if you're not familiar with this book, like the premise is very much like it's a romance between two writers who supposedly kind of don't like each other, but they clearly do. And one is a woman who's a romance writer, and one is a man who's a literary fiction writer. And I, as a woman, prefer literary fiction. So I don't know why in this day and age we're still like gendering stuff like that. I know there's trends to it. I know there's like some truth to the stereotype, but also like, I don't know. I just thought there were ways to make it maybe a little bit more literary fiction without losing the romance. So that's my review of that. If you want to talk with me about Beach Read, go for it in the comments. But the rest of Sunday, I just marked filming a plan with me. My Sims had a wedding, which was fun, and then watching Saturday Night Live and Last Week Tonight on YouTube. So that is this week. I really, really love how this Easter kit turned out. I think it's so darling. I love all the carrots and the eggs and everything. So I hope you're having a good week. I will talk to you next time. Bye.